My son, my daughter, pay attention to what I am going to say to you this morning. The time has come to speak to your heart about something that has tormented you in silence. There are words that were spoken over you, decrees pronounced against your life, sentences declared over your future. But today, I tell you, not everything that was spoken came from my heart. Not every word that reached your ears carried the seal of my approval. There are decrees made by men, by circumstances, by voices that rose without my authorization. And today I am erasing each one of them with the power of my love. When you lie down on your pillow, wet with tears of misunderstanding, when the early hours find you awake, asking yourself why certain words still resonate in your mind like drums of war, I want you to know that I am here, not just as an observer of your pain, but as the one who has supreme authority to cancel every sentence that did not pass through the court of my heart. I am the supreme judge, and when I declare that something must be annulled, no force in heaven, on earth, or under the earth can oppose my decision. Do you remember when Job was sitting on ashes, scraping his wounds with a piece of tile, hearing the cutting words of his friends who tried to decree sentences of condemnation over him? They said his calamity was the result of hidden sin, that God had rejected him, that there was no hope for someone like him. But in the end, when I spoke in the midst of the whirlwind, all those words were undone like smoke in the wind. I restored not only what he had lost, but gave him double, because the decrees of men have no power over the plans of my heart. Likewise, today I am reviewing every decree spoken over your life, that word that said you would never prosper, cancelled, that sentence that declared you have no value, annulled, that verdict that determined you are condemned to failure, revoked, that false prophecy that said you would never find true love, extinguished. Every word that did not originate in the sanctuary of my heart is being erased with the blood of the Lamb who was slain from the foundation of the world. You may think those words were small, but I know the power they exercised over you. I know how they became invisible walls around your dreams, how they transformed into chains around your feet, preventing you from walking in the direction of the destiny I prepared for you. I know how those sentences became inner voices whispering defeat when you should have heard victory, shouting impossibility when I was preparing the miraculous. But today, my beloved, I am holding the divine eraser in my hands, erasing line by line, word by word, decree by decree. I am rewriting your story with the golden ink of my grace. Where it was written rejected, I write chosen. Where it said failed, I inscribe victorious. Where it stated without hope, I declare full of future and hope, because the plans I have for you are of peace and not of evil. Do you know why I have the authority to do this? Because I am the one who calls things that are not as if they already were. I am the one who spoke into the void and created worlds by the power of my word. I am the one who looked at Abraham, a man without children, and called him father of multitudes, even before Sarah conceived. I am the one who saw David, the youngest son of Jesse, a shepherd despised by his own brothers, and chose him to be king over Israel. I am the one who transformed Saul, persecutor of the church, into the apostle Paul, who carried my name to the ends of the earth. When others decreed over you based on what they saw with natural eyes, I decree over you based on what I see with the eyes of the Spirit. When they looked at your circumstances and pronounced limitation, I look at your heart and declare abundance. When they saw your weaknesses and spoke defeat, I see my power perfected in your weakness and proclaim triumph. There is a valley of dry bones that represents all those dead decrees spoken over you. Words without life, prophecies without power, sentences without spiritual authority. Just as I told Ezekiel to prophesy over those bones, today I prophesy over every dead decree that tried to establish itself in your life. I breathe on them, not to give them life, but to scatter them like dust in the wind so they never gather again, so they never have strength to rise against you. Do you remember Lazarus? He had been dead for 4 days when I arrived. Martha said, "Lord, he already smells bad." Everyone had decreed it was too late, that there was nothing to be done, that death had sealed that man's fate. But I looked at that tomb and declared, "Lazarus, come out." And death had to release its hold, the bandages had to come undone, the stone had to roll away. In the same way, I am looking at every death decree spoken over your dreams, your future, your destiny, and I am ordering them to come out. Come out of the tomb of oblivion, undo the bandages of impossibility, roll away the stones of limitation. Do you remember when you were a child and someone said you would be good for nothing? I was there, and today I cancel that word. Do you remember when you were young and someone declared you would never succeed? I was there, and today I annul that decree. Do you remember moments of vulnerability when someone spoke harsh words over you that wounded your soul like sharp swords? I was there gathering every tear that fell, and today I transform each one into pearls of wisdom and strength. I'm not like men who speak out of impulse, anger, frustration, or envy. Every word that comes out of my mouth is weighed on the altar of eternity, measured by the rule of my perfect justice, tempered by the salt of my infinite love. When I speak, the universe reorganizes. When I declare, angels move. When I decree, the impossible becomes inevitable. And today I decree over you, you are my beloved son, my beloved daughter, in whom I delight. I decree that your life will be like a tree planted by streams of water, yielding fruit in its season, whose leaves do not wither. I decree that everything you do will prosper. I decree that I go before you, preparing the way, removing obstacles, opening doors that no man can close. But for these new decrees to be fully established in your life, I need you to do something. I need you to stop agreeing with the old decrees. Whenever an inner voice whispers the old sentences, you must respond, "This word has no authority over me because my Father has already cancelled it." Whenever circumstances try to confirm the old verdicts, you must declare, "I do not walk by sight but by faith, and by faith I know God is erasing what did not come from his heart." It is like when Moses stood before the Red Sea with all Israel behind him, and Pharaoh's chariots were quickly approaching. All voices around shouted decrees of defeat. "We will die here. We were deceived. It would have been better to stay in Egypt." But I said to Moses, "Why do you cry out to me? Tell the children of Israel to march." There was a decree of liberation I had made, and neither the sea nor armies nor impossible circumstances could annul it. In the same way, there are decrees I made over your life even before you were formed in your mother's womb. Decrees of purpose, destiny, victory, abundance, joy, and peace. These decrees are not written on paper that time can yellow, nor on stone that wind can erode, but they are engraved on the palms of my hands with iron and lead, sealed with the blood of the new covenant, guaranteed by the resurrection of my Son. You may be passing through a desert now where the only voices you hear are echoes of old decrees trying to resurrect, trying to reclaim territory in your mind. But I want you to know every desert has an exit, and your exit is already prepared. I'm making waters spring up in the desert and rivers in dry places. I am preparing a table in the desert of your affliction, anointing your head with oil in the presence of your adversaries, making your cup overflow. Sometimes, when you are in your quiet room in the dead hours of the night, when even the noise of the city has ceased, and you are left alone with your thoughts, that is when old decrees try to make the most noise. That is when they whisper the loudest, trying to convince you they still have validity. But I want you to know those are the hours I come closest to you. It is in the silence that my voice becomes clearer. It is in solitude that my presence becomes more real. I am like that friend who arrives at dawn and knocks on your door. You may be heavy with sleep, windows closed, heart tired. But I insist on entering because I have something urgent to tell you. I come to cancel the decrees of the early morning, those that try to establish themselves when your resistance is low, when your faith is asleep. I come to rekindle the flame of hope, revive the fire of certainty, restore the strength of your confidence. Do you know what happens when I erase a decree? It is not just that it ceases to exist. The space where it was is filled with something infinitely better. Where there was a curse, I put a blessing. Where there was a word of death, I establish a word of life. Where there was a sentence of scarcity, I write a promise of abundance. It is like when you erase a wrong word on paper and write the correct word over it. The paper is not empty, it is better than before. There is something more I need to tell you. I am not only erasing the decrees others spoke over you, I'm also cancelling the decrees you yourself spoke against yourself. Those harsh words you said about yourself in moments of frustration, those sentences of self-condemnation you pronounced when you erred, those ruthless verdicts you declared about your own worth, because sometimes we are our own worst judges, our harshest critics, our most relentless accusers. But today I tell you, you have no authority to condemn yourself because I have already justified you. You have no power to disqualify yourself because I have already chosen you. You cannot discard yourself because I bought you at the price of blood. Every negative word that came out of your own mouth against yourself is being erased by the eraser of my forgiveness, cancelled by the seal of my acceptance. It is like when Peter, after denying me 3 times, was on the beach with a heart full of shame and self-recrimination. He had decreed over himself that he was a failure, unfit to be a disciple, that he had lost forever the opportunity to be used by me. But I did not accept those decrees. 3 times I asked if he loved me, not to humiliate him, but to give him 3 opportunities to cancel the 3 denials. Then I said, "Feed my sheep." I transformed the shepherd who fled into the leader who would stay until the end. In the same way, every decree of failure you spoke over yourself is being replaced by a declaration of victory. Every word of incapacity is being changed by an affirmation of divine empowerment. Every sentence of unworthiness is being annulled by a proclamation that you are precious in my eyes. And these are the decrees I now establish over your life. I decree that you are more than a conqueror through the one who loved you. I decree that all things work together for your good because you love God and are called according to his purpose. I decree that no weapon formed against you will prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. I decree that I have thoughts of peace for you and not of evil, to give you the future you hope for. I decree that your days of mourning will be turned into days of joy. I decree that your tears will become drops of joy. I decree that your sadness will be changed into rejoicing. I decree that I will restore the years the locust has eaten. I decree that I will make all things new in your life. I decree that I will give you a new heart and a new spirit. You are entering a new season of your life, a season where the decrees of my heart will become evident. It will be like when the Israelites left Egypt. From one day to the next, reality changed completely. Yesterday they were slaves, today they are free. Yesterday they lived under decrees of oppression. Today they walk under decrees of liberation. The day will come, and that day is closer than you imagine, when you will look back and clearly see how I erased one by one all the decrees that did not come from my heart. You will see how every negative word lost its power, how every contrary sentence dissolved, how every false verdict was annulled. And in their place you will see the glorious manifestation of the true decrees, those born in the sanctuary of my love for you. Therefore, my son, my daughter, lift your head, straighten your shoulders, allow the certainty of this truth to penetrate every fiber of your being. I am erasing right now every decree that did not come from my heart, and in their place I am establishing decrees of life, victory, prosperity, joy, and peace, decrees that have the power of eternity, the authority of the heavens, and the guarantee of the blood shed on Calvary. What was written is being erased. What must be written is being established. And you, beloved of my heart, are the beneficiary of this great work of restoration I am doing in your life. Let it be so, and so it shall be, because I, the Lord, have spoken. Amen, my child. Before you leave this video, I ask you to subscribe to the channel God My Strength and stay connected. Here you will be in contact with my teachings and guidance. I am your refuge and your strength. Trust in me and stay attentive to my words, because they are life for you. And now that I have cleansed the slate of your soul from every false decree, I will begin the work of rebuilding from the foundation I myself laid. This is not a patchwork repair. It is a divine reconstruction. I am not restoring a broken house. I am establishing a new temple, crafted with care, precision, and fire. You have passed through seasons of silence where you mistook my stillness for absence. But those were the hours when I was digging deeper into the soil of your life, removing old roots that could not sustain the harvest I am preparing. I was doing invisible work so that your visible future would not collapse under pressure. I did not ignore you when you cried out. I was preparing the ground to receive my best. I was cultivating patience in you, not as punishment, but as preparation. The kind of fruit I'm growing in you requires depth, and depth only comes from surrender and time. Now, I am placing spiritual scaffolding around your calling, for the construction will reach high, and the structure must be strong enough to hold the weight of what is coming. Do not despise the details I am perfecting in this phase. Even the smallest beam matters in the building of your destiny. There are alignments I'm orchestrating behind the veil, connections that will not appear until the hour I've appointed. You do not need to manufacture relationships to make your calling unfold. I already assigned the right people to meet you at the right mile of your journey. You do not need to fear being late. My timing is not limited to human clocks. I am able to redeem lost time, revive delayed seasons, and reorder steps that wandered off the path. Your delay did not cancel your destiny, it only intensified the glory of its arrival. Many times you believed that because doors closed, you failed, but I tell you now, I closed them to protect you from what your eyes could not yet discern. Not every opportunity is divine. Some open doors are traps dressed in favor. My closed doors were shields. You were not overlooked, you were hidden. Hidden not to be forgotten, but to be preserved. I hide my greatest treasures in darkness for a season, not because they are unworthy, but because they are sacred. And now I'm beginning to unveil what I've been forming in secret. Your pain has not been wasted. Every wound you carried became a doorway for compassion, a training ground for wisdom, a channel for healing. I do not let suffering pass through your life without using it to produce something eternal. The nights you spent wrestling with doubt, wondering if you missed your purpose, were the nights I marked you for deeper insight. You were not wandering. You were circling sacred ground, drawing closer to the voice that truly defines you. There are callings I give that do not come with applause but with tears. There are assignments that begin in obscurity and cost you your comfort. But I am not raising up performers. I am forming messengers, people whose very breath speaks of my presence. You've longed for clarity, but clarity does not always come before obedience. I call you to walk by trust, not by map. You do not need to understand every step before you move. What you need is the courage to walk with me, even when the path looks unfamiliar. This season will not be about repeating past lessons. It will be about applying what you've learned under pressure. You will find that what once overwhelmed you will now submit to your authority, for I have been enlarging your capacity quietly. You have authority, not because of your eloquence, but because of your obedience. I do not endorse charisma. I anoint character. I do not empower performance. I empower purity. You will not need to shout to be heard. Your life will speak louder than your words. I'm calling you to live a life that reflects heaven's design, not earth's expectations. You are not a product of culture. You are a carrier of covenant. And your identity must be rooted in who I say you are, not in how others respond to you. This is a season where you must guard your spiritual appetite. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every teaching aligns with my truth. You are called to discern, not to consume. Protect your ears and eyes, for what enters them shapes the soil of your heart. There will be days when your surroundings do not reflect your promises, but I ask you to hold fast. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. I am moving, even when nothing moves around you. Some of the storms you faced were not meant to destroy you, but to destroy what could not go with you. I allowed the shaking to detach what clung to you out of fear, not covenant. You did not lose. Your destiny was purified. You are not too broken to be used. On the contrary, I specialize in vessels with cracks, for through them my light shines brightest. Your wounds will not disqualify you. They will identify you as one who has passed through the fire and emerged with glory. There will be divine interruptions ahead, moments when I step into your routine and disrupt your agenda. Welcome these moments. They carry the fingerprints of my love and the DNA of transformation. Your days of self-sabotage must end. No more returning to old patterns out of comfort. No more shrinking to fit spaces I never designed for you. It is time to step into the fullness of who I've made you to be, even if it terrifies the parts of you still healing. You have survived cycles of delay, confusion, and fatigue. But now I am breaking the cycle. What used to repeat will stop. What used to drain you will be uprooted. You will breathe again with lungs full of purpose and feet ready to move. I am not just giving you strength to survive, I'm giving you the strength to build.